Ray Miller had always found solace in the quiet hum of Westlake High School after hours. The fluorescent lights flickered gently above him as he pushed his broom down the polished hallways, the sound of bristles against linoleum filling the silence. He had been the janitor at Westlake for over 2 decades, witnessing the ebb and flow of students' lives, their laughter echoing in the halls, and the occasional tear-streaked face hastily making their way to the exit. But this evening felt different. The atmosphere was thick, with an unexplainable tension, as if the school itself was holding its breath. As he swept, Ray's eyes caught a glint of something unusual peeking out from the air vent above him. Curious, he stood on tiptoes and reached up, prying it open with a gentle tug. Out came a worn leather journal, its cover cracked and faded, but still holding a certain dignity. He brushed off the dust and opened it, revealing pages filled with neat, slanted handwriting. The first entry caught his eye, dated 15 years prior. "Today was another day of silence," it began. The words spilled from Alex Turner's heart, recounting the isolation he felt amidst the bustling crowd of students. Ray's heart sank as he read about Alex's struggles with bullying, the relentless taunts, the whispered insults, and the overwhelming feeling of being invisible. Each entry painted a picture of a young man trapped in a world that seemed determined to crush his spirit. And Ray could feel the weight of Alex's despair seep into his own soul. As he turned the pages, Ray learned about the pivotal moments that led to Alex's withdrawal from Westlake. The entries detailed how he had once been a bright student, passionate about art, but the joy had been stripped away by the cruelty of his peers. There were mentions of friends who had turned their backs, of teachers who hadn't noticed the signs, and of lonely nights spent staring at the ceiling, contemplating a future that felt impossibly dark. The final entry hinted at a tragic decision, a moment of desperation that had led Alex to leave the school and, presumably, his pain behind. Ray closed the journal, his heart heavy with the knowledge of a life marred by suffering. He couldn't shake the feeling that Alex's story was not just a relic of the past, but a call to action. That night, he couldn't sleep. The words echoed in his mind, urging him to do something, anything to ensure that no other student felt as alone as Alex had felt. The next day, Ray took the journal to Principal Hargrove. He laid it on her desk, the worn pages crinkled and fragile. "I found this in the school," he said, his voice steady but filled with urgency. "It's about a student named Alex Turner. He went through a lot here." Hargrove's brow furrowed as she opened the journal, her eyes scanning the entries with a mix of concern and disbelief. "I remember Alex. He was a bright kid, but..." Her voice trailed off as she absorbed the painful truth laid bare before her. "We need to do something. This can't just be a story we read and forget." Together, they convened a meeting with Mr. Donovan, the school's guidance counselor, and discussed how they could reach out to Alex. Ray learned that Alex had returned to Westlake, now a psychologist specializing in adolescent trauma. The news filled Ray with hope. Perhaps Alex could help them confront the legacy of bullying that had haunted the school for far too long. They reached out to Alex, who agreed to meet with them. When he entered the office, Ray felt a mixture of admiration and trepidation. Alex had transformed. He was no longer the frightened teenager who had hidden in the shadows. Instead, he carried himself with a quiet strength, his eyes reflecting a depth of understanding that only comes from having faced one's demons. As they spoke, Alex shared his motivations for returning to Westlake. His sister, Emma, was now a student at the school, and she was facing the same torment he had endured. The thought of her suffering ignited a fire within him, a determination to ensure that no one else had to experience the isolation he had known. Ray listened intently as Alex recounted the painful memories of his time at Westlake. It was a cathartic moment, not just for Alex, but for everyone in the room. They began to discuss how they could create a task force dedicated to changing the culture of the school, focusing on identifying and supporting vulnerable students. They envisioned a program that would empower students to speak out against bullying, to foster an environment of empathy and understanding. In the weeks that followed, the task force came to life. They organized workshops, inviting students to share their experiences and encouraging them to stand up for one another. They created safe spaces where students could talk about their feelings without fear of judgment. Ray found himself deeply involved, using his position to connect with students, to remind them that they were seen and valued. With Alex's guidance, they implemented peer mentorship programs, pairing older students with those who felt lost or alone. The school began to transform. The atmosphere shifted from one of indifference to one of support and community. Students who had once felt isolated began to find their voices, and the hallways that had once echoed with taunts now resonated with laughter and camaraderie. As the school year progressed, Ray noticed a change in Emma. She had been shy and withdrawn, but as she became involved in the new initiatives, her spirit began to shine. She found friends who understood her struggles, and for the first time, she felt like she belonged. Alex watched with pride as his sister blossomed, her laughter ringing through the halls like music. One afternoon, Ray found himself in the art room, where students were working on a mural that depicted their journey toward healing. Emma was there, her hands splattered with paint, her face alight with creativity. She caught Ray's eye and smiled, a genuine smile that spoke volumes of the change that had taken place. "Thank you for everything you've done, Mr. Miller," she said, her voice warm. "You've helped us so much." Ray felt a swell of emotion. "It's not just me, Emma. It's all of us working together. You're part of this change too." As the mural took shape, it became a symbol of hope and resilience, a testament to the power of community and the importance of confronting the past. The vibrant colors painted over the darkness that had once loomed so heavily in the school, and Ray couldn't help but feel a sense of pride in what they had accomplished. Months later, during a school assembly, Alex stood before the students, sharing his story with a courage that inspired everyone in the room. He spoke of the pain he had endured, but he also spoke of healing, of the importance of reaching out and supporting one another. The students listened intently, their eyes wide with understanding. In that moment, Ray realized the profound impact one person's willingness to confront their past could have on many lives. As the assembly concluded, the students erupted into applause, a wave of acceptance washing over the auditorium. Ray felt a sense of fulfillment, knowing that the work they had done together was just the beginning. The legacy of bullying at Westlake was being rewritten, and the school was becoming a place where empathy reigned, where every student had the chance to thrive. Ray continued to sweep the hallways, but now, as he did, He saw not just the flaws that needed cleaning, but the bright futures that lay ahead for each student. The journal had revealed a painful past, but it had also sparked a movement of change, a ripple effect that would continue long after he had put down his broom. In the heart of Westlake High, hope blossomed, and with it, the promise that no one would ever have to feel alone again.